Hello everyone, Burb here. Later today, a rather powerful card in Daiichi Ruby is being released, and while I don't go over every single support card, this is one that's been on my radar for quite a while and one that I'm pulling on later today. If you're a late surger player like myself or an end closer player, you might want to keep an eye on this one, either through pulling for the banner now or through using one or both of these selectors in the second anniversary or beyond. We'll go over all that in this video along with some more. The plan for today is I want to go over the skill because this is primarily a utility card. I want to tell you why and when that skill is actually very, very powerful. And I want to go over the standard mathematical analysis I do with the support cards, the limit break comparison and the training comparison. I want to focus more on the limit break comparison because this is a utility card. I want to make sure limit break 1 is actually all you really need or not. And when I first started playing the game, there was a few things said about this card that limit break 2 plus is actually objectively worse than limit break 1. I want to put my own personal perspective on that. I have a couple of slides on the topic, and I just want to throw my hat in the ring to go and drum up some discussion on it because I personally don't necessarily believe that to be true at the moment. After that, I want to go over the longevity of the card. I'm not a JP player, but I have looked forward into the cards to try to see how long this card's actually used for. And then finally, I want to give a couple of tips on CM18 and whether you should borrow this one or stuff like Nice Nature. Finally, I'll give my final suggestions on whether or not you should pull this or not. Use your own judgment. I'm trying to give you information for you to go and formulate your own pull plans. We'll talk about that in the future, but I will be going over this banner, alternative banners, and just be given my personal suggestions on what I would do and whether I would pull for this or not in certain situations. That's the plan for today. Let's go, and with that out of the way, let's talk about Daiichi Ruby. Like I said, she's primarily a utility card meant for her skill. Now, the skill was renamed from Flash Forward, which had another skill of the same name, to Lightning Surge, which is much appreciated for people like me who have to read out all the skills. This is a sprint mile skill only, so it's only for the shorter tracks. It does only require 5th or worse, I believe, and it is primarily for late surgers and end closers. Now, this is a very powerful skill, and its strength really comes from that its only real condition is the is overtake condition. To steal a couple slides from the Teo video, is overtake is a rather wacky condition in that the way it kind of works is you need someone in your field of view that you will be basically passing within the next 15 seconds. Well, the way I think it works is they extrapolate your current speed compared to their current speed. And whenever, if you 15 seconds from now, if your position would be in front of them, it goes and triggers that is overtake condition. Now, the field of view, due to these short tracks having long final straights and not really having too much corner, the actual field of view section is not really that important. It's just it does give a finite limit of 8 lengths unless you increase your field of view, which you really shouldn't be. So 8 lengths is going to be kind of the maximum of this range, but really honestly, there's not much in the game that would take you above the 15-second projection more than that anyway. So as long as there's someone in front of you that hasn't hit, if you are projected to go and pass them, the is overtake condition is accepted, and thus the skill will then wit check and try to proc. How you effectively do this is you need something else besides flash forward to actually go and proc. Now, this could be any other acceleration skill like on your left or slick surge. This could be any speed carryover skill that procs prior to the late race starting because you have a higher speed starting out than the person in front of you. And this can also be any current speed skill like currently Special Week Ultimate that has both acceleration and current speed. All this will make you faster than someone in front of you. And the whole point of this is that surely there is someone in front of you as a late surger or an end closer that has not hit more than you have hit. This is technically like an arms race. Like if someone hits an Excel and you hit an Excel, you are going the same speed, which means you are not going to pass them in 15 seconds. But if you are even slightly faster than them, the is overtake condition will proc. The reason why I personally call this a near perfect proc acceleration is that if you look at the 3 things required, you need either an acceleration skill to proc quickly, a speed carryover skill or speed skill or a velocity skill to proc in the carryover window, or a current speed to proc rather quickly as well. If this is not happening to you in a sprint or a mile really quickly, you are not winning that race. So that's why I call it a near perfect proc excel, is that in like 90% of the situations in which you are going to win, you need one of these other things to actually proc anyways. And what this does is it basically just amplifies any skill that would normally possibly not make you win into this massive acceleration bomb. Stuff like Slick Surge go from a point 0.2 white skill into a 0.6 combo with Lightning Surge, which is basically already meeting you to that 0.6, I say, threshold, but realistically what you're kind of trying to aim for currently in those miles and sprints. So it's an incredibly powerful skill if you're in the back half of the pack, of course, and you literally proc practically anything that you basically already need in order to win. For the limit break comparison, she is primarily a utility card because you really only need her one limit break. The reason why you need her one limit break is because of the SP bonus. And we've gone over this before, but the SP bonus is amplified through pretty much all your friendship trainings and stuff as you're going along. And while aren't actually training with her too much, that one SP bonus still will probably net you an entire white skill over the course of a run. And when we start going and tapping the power button again in future scenarios, this is very important. In the future, cards with SP bonus have more value than cards without SP bonus because SP is one of the harder things to actually go and grab. And so this kind of actually will affect her longevity in the future, but we'll talk about that in that section. After that, honestly, the only things that increase are her friendship bonus, which in Grand Live, as people are saying, you don't really press the power button too much. Obviously, if it's a rainbow and you have nothing else, I think you still press the button, but friendship bonus is just there, and it's honestly a 5% increase from 0 to MLB. You get some initial power, 5 extra initial power, and 30 additional initial guts and some friendship bonus training. So do you need more than one LB? You really don't. Of all the cards that have really been released, this is one that's like, it's just kind of nice to have. It's not really going to do anything. For training comparison, she's kind of middle of the road. She is worse than something like an El Condor Pasa, which has some of the best power generation in the game, and she's better than most of the SR and welfare cards available. Now, Marby Power is one of the best welfare cards in the game, and she's still ahead by about 3 power. Now, she doesn't have as much stamina gen, but her SP bonus is kind of her primary addition to actually competing with these other power cards. The cross training increase is nothing at all, and that's kind of the reason why people have said, hey, 1 LB, all you need. If you get more than 1 LB, you're actively hurting yourself, has actually been said, and that's what I want to go and talk about. Because she has additional specialty priority, she will appear on power more the more limit breaks you actually go and increase, because it is basically an additional 1% per training time to effectively go to that power training instead of something like a speed or a wit. But when you actually do the math, in my personal opinion, the difference between 0 LB even, trying to be the most generous here, and MLB is only a 1-ish percent. It's like, what is it, 1.5%? 1.6% chance. And that 1.6% chance, yes, is something, but over the course of an entire run, let's say 55 trainings or whatever, you can make this 60 or 65 if you wish, and make it like one full lost relevant training. You're losing essentially 5% training effectiveness increase plus participation bonus, I suppose, on a singular speed or wit training. Note that these are 200s instead of 100s because I'm counting both speed and wit in the specialty priority equation. So in my personal opinion, you gain specialty priority, but you also gain initial power and initial guts. And while those may not be the best stats that you're looking for, I think that more than outweighs it anyways, because in order to go and meet those just raw stat output, you would need 795 stats on that one tap in order to go and meet it 1-to-1. And if you consider participation bonus as well, it's probably somewhere in the 300 to 400 range instead of the 800 range. Just trying to be the most generous thing here. So I don't think you're bricking Ruby by having more LB. It's just more of a situation where you don't really need it. Now, just if you tap power a single time, I know it's a foreign concept in the speed wit deck, but like if she is going to be rainbow, I personally am going to probably tap it over other trainings just because I like more currency, and that's going to help me out in the long run, anyways. And you still get some friendship bonus to help you out and some initial friendship gauge to get you there faster, anyway. So I still think there's value in increasing the LB. It's just like if you are at all on any level of carrot crunch, just stop at 1 LB. It's perfectly fine. There's literally, like, we're talking 95 to 98% of the card is already in your hands at 1 LB with that skill point bonus. So, conclusion for all this, real quick, like I said, this video, Ruby MLB does not brick her. Ruby MLB is a slight advantage. Ruby 2LB plus is absolutely not required. You can stop at 1 LB. It's just I don't see a reason to just constantly hold copies of Ruby and not utilize them at the moment. I think that the specialty priority increase is just massively outweighed by the fact that, you know, you just get to the friendship trainings faster and you get more currency even in Grand Live just for the one friendship training she may give you that's better than a speed or a wit training. The big thing is, of course, no TEF or MEF increase. The only things that are increasing are friendship bonuses, and we're in Grand Live currently. We are not really pressing the power button too often, maybe in summer, or if it's literally the only friendship option available to us. Do note that her power bonus is actually triggered by her friendship as well. So getting her friendship bond to 80 will unlock her power bonus even when she's on the speed training and I guess the guts training as well. But primarily the speed training, the power bonus is affected by that friendship gauge as well. And that threshold at even 2 LB is actually quite useful because that's one less tap when she is cross training. Okay, so there is even value on the speed training for having that additional initial friendship gauge. Again, you don't need it. You do not need it. Don't pull for it just for that reason. For her hands, honestly, kind of middle of the road, not great. It's pretty much desaturated by the fact that there's literally 6 debuffs in the middle of the hint pool. There are some pretty great skills, like Slick Surge is incredible, Late Surge Straight Surge is great, Lone Wolf is great, Fearless is okay. So you have 4 good skills. It's just the problem is there's 6 debuffs right in the middle, and while you don't really you're not really going to use that much. You primarily are getting this for the event skills, Lightning Surge, and you do get Late Surge or Corners as well on the events as well. When you're in Sprint, you do get Sprinting Gear, which is kind of nice, and Gap Closer is in the hints, but primarily you're just getting us for the Gold skill and possibly for Late Surge or Corners. The longevity, because this is primarily a skill card, I'm going to grab a drink real quick. You're mainly getting this for Lightning Surge, and so the question is, when does Lightning Surge stop being useful? Now, this is a SP bonus 1 card. Like I said, this kind of puts us above a lot of other cards in the future because primarily you can only use a certain number of SP bonus 0 cards to keep up with the rest of the pack. A lot of SP bonus 2 cards like Tachyon have that level of longevity too because of that reason as a utility card. And the only other sources of Lightning Surge are Vodka, which doesn't have SP bonus. And honestly, after looking at the trainings and such, it doesn't seem like it's the worst in the world, but I don't think you're going to need a Guts card with that amount of training. I could be wrong, but I don't see really why this would replace it. And this is actually quite far along in the middle of 2027 projected. End closes do have Durandal Wit, which does have flash forward. It does have Lightning Surge and a bunch of other end closer skills, but this is at the point of the game where you probably will be choosing your role. So if you're a late surger player, you will probably not be pulling for this card. I don't even know if end closers pull for this, but this is an Aspody bonus card on a Wit card, which usually has higher value, and it does seem to have a lot of very good end closer skills in particular. So end closers do have a direct upgrade, I would say, in the middle of 2028, but that is over 2 years away in probably 5 or 6 scenarios. So the question is not when does Lightning Surge actually be replaced by a better card, because I don't think there really is for late surgers, and I think that the Wit card for end closers is really far off in the future. So the question is, when do we have enough accelerations in mile tracks and sprint tracks for late surgers and end closers and back half of the pack in general? And the thing is, after looking into it, it's rather sparse in the mile department. You see, in Grandmasters, we have 2 cards with excel skills for backliners at all. Mayano Top Gun Power is just no stopping me, which doesn't really work too well on the mile tracks and the sprint tracks because no stopping me, final corner or later. Basically, if the spurts after the final corner were already spread out, so it's very difficult to NSM. And high voltage is a neck and neck clone, which is the front half of the pack. It's an option, but it's on a guts card, and it's more primarily for pace chasers. And it, of course, is first half late race anyways. So I can say this is an option that might saturate it enough, but usually you would need like 3 accelerations, and this one is, of course, a near perfect proc, as I am personally saying. For L'Arc, we do have Checking the King on Alcandar Pasa speed, but this is, I believe, an 1800 meter plus skill because it does have a 600 meter or more requirement. And I think it's rather iffy on it because it would have to instantly proc at that point to meet it. So I don't think Checking the King is a skill that goes and power creeps this and makes it so that it's oversaturated. End closes, perhaps Life is Done at Hishi Amazon Power, which is on middle of 2027 in the middle of L'Arc. I think this is a rather decent card, but it's just Encroaching Shadow and it has a 2 SP bonus instead of a 1 SP bonus. And what's to say that on certain tracks you don't want to just hit point 0.8 with Encroaching Shadow as well as Lightning Surge as well for that just immediate point 0.8. I think that would be rather powerful as well. I don't think this completely takes her out. UAF has KS Miracle, who has Turbo Sprint for the sprint tracks. Turbo Sprint's really like its full late race timing. Then we have Taishin Wit, which gives shadow to pretty much all the end closers, and then of course the Vodka Guts card that we talked about that I don't think goes and power creeps it either. Food Festival has literally nothing. Mecha has only the Rudolph Wit card that has Checking the King. We talked about that skill. Twinkle Legends has nothing. Design Your Island has the Durandal card that we talked about. That could be an option for end closers. Hot Springs has another Encroaching Shadow card, as well as Air Groove Speed. I know that's Air Groove for Checking the King. And so I've already gotten to Hot Springs. That's like 2 scenarios to JP. And I don't really see a card that's like objectively better. And even if there is one, it's like this is like what the second or third best card you can choose. So as long as we're using power cards in the future, I don't see why this card can't at least be used as a utility card. So my personal analysis, again, check the comments for other people's opinions on this. It seems like we're going to be using this for a very long time, and same thing for end closers, and perhaps there's just simply enough speed carryover in the future that we don't need as much Excel, but I don't see that to be the case. So I find its longevity to be really good. And if you are trying to do this on the second anniversary selector, because you shouldn't really worry about FOMO as much right now, if you get the second anniversary selectors, which is of course $20 and $70, but it does come with carrots. I know that is real money. There is 3 mile or sprint CMs in Grand Live and CM18 coming up, CM21 and CM22, and you can go and borrow this for those champions meetings as well. There's also options like On Your Left for late surgers that go and give this, that are alternatives that you don't necessarily absolutely need this card for those particular champions meetings. It's a very powerful skill, but is it like On Your Left? Well, like I said, you need to prime this one. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be in a position where you have speed carryover skills plus stuff like Slick Surge at least to go and actually proc this. Whereas On Your Left just kind of procs if you're in fourth or worse. Nice Nature Wit also is a wit card, so she doesn't break 3-2 like hello, which means your runs are a lot easier. I think there's a lot of merits, and we'll talk about this in the late surger guide in the future, that you just borrow Nice Nature Wit and you just loop in the white version of Leap Forward, which I don't know what they're going to call it, but I guess it's Leap Forward right now. And then you just go with that 0.6 instead. I think that's perfectly fine. You're just gambling on your left timing. Lightning Surge is slightly better. It does need help. I don't think you absolutely need it in Champions Meeting 18 or even 21 and 22. So there are plenty of options, and I think that the parent updates are the primary reason why you have a lot more flexibility in what you absolutely need to pull for. But I don't want to discount that this card will be rather powerful, and for those that have both of the cards, they are at a slight advantage over the rest of the pack. So, personal opinion, should you pull for this card? First of all, if you're a pace chaser or front runner main, don't even worry about this card. If you're a late surger and end closer player, well, from scratch right now, you have about 1.5 sparks before Romanu, and you should be saving 2 sparks for Romanu. You could choose this as one of your cards and then you maybe have a character you want to pull on later, and that gets you close. And hopefully, you have good luck on the character banner. I think that is a good option. This is a good card that I think you can pull a full spark on, or just go and try to get like 2 copies of it. It's perfectly fine. I think there's 3 other banners that backliners should be considering. First of all, the Fine Motion banner and the Marzensky banner for backliners isn't as useful, but if you are lacking on a speed card and a wit card, and you do have enough to try to 3 LB plus that fine motion and try to try to get at least a 1 LB copy of Marzensky, if not a 3 LB copy of it, it's perfectly fine to run. The other double banner is rather powerful in Super Creek and Mr. CB. Mr. CB literally only needing 1 LB is quite good as well. And of course, you will need Super Creek in the future at some degree, because she is like a viable stamina card option for like the near next 2 years or so. And the final one is, if you're a late surge main, I think you should be considering Asian Flash. However, Asian Flash is not 100% required either, because you can just go and wait it out with the speed cards that you have. If you have enough speed SSR cards, you're perfectly fine. And of course, you have stuff like Jungle Pocket and El Condor Pasa Speed in the future. Backliners may want one of these 2 banners instead, although you probably will want 2 sparks on this one, and 1 spark's probably fine on this one. You just hope you kind of get 1 copy of Mr. CB. This is more for end closers, I guess, in that case, but it is what it is. That's my personal opinion on Daiichi Ruby. That's all. I hope that, even though this has been kind of all over the place, I've had a little bit short notice on this one because, um, I have to go to work now, but I've tried my best to go and at least lay my thoughts out. So I'll be trying to answer questions in the Discord as well as on the comments below. So if you have any questions, please post them there. I hope this was useful to you. Take care, everyone. Burb out.